There is something very strange. We work much more than our parents ever did. But we live in a space much tighter than theirs. I'm not talking about being lazy or hardworking. I'm talking about a familiar feeling. Busy all day, tired all week. And at the end of the month, still finding yourself standing still. If you have ever wondered why the harder you try, the less you get ahead, this story might be just like yours. I realized this late one night. Nearly 11 p.m. the city was still bright. Office lights stayed on, eatery lights weren't put away, warehouse lights were still lit. Young people everywhere. They work more than their parents ever did. But no one looks any better. I used to think, maybe I haven't tried hard enough. Until I looked back. Working hours increased. Work piled on work. Skills were greater. Pressure was higher. But the money didn't move in the same direction. Youth labor is not in short supply now. It is cheap. Not cheap because they are lacking, but because society has grown used to the fact that there is always another young person to take their place. A job that once supported a family is now divided among 2 or 3 people. Short-term contracts, temporary projects, collaborators, freelancers, seasonal workers. Everyone is busy. But no one accumulates. I look around me. 27 years old, 30 years old, 33 years old. Still in a temporary state. Temporarily renting. Temporarily afraid to quit. Temporarily afraid to get sick. Temporarily afraid to be wrong. Working more is no longer a path upward. It is just a way to keep from falling down too fast. And young people aren't allowed to say that. Because if it were said aloud, the entire hard work is enough system would collapse. No one tells young people straight. There are jobs that won't keep you poor. But they won't give you a way out either. I used to believe that if I just endured for a few years, everything would be different. But the longer I stay, the more I realize there are dreams of changing one's life that are fed by our very own strength. Until we no longer have enough strength to leave. No one forces young people to choose cheap labor. They are led into it by phrases that sound so familiar. Endure for a few years and you'll move up. Get experience first. In these times, you have to sacrifice. I used to believe it too. I stayed longer than I needed to. Overtime, extra tasks, no pay for the work, no pay for the risk. The dream of changing one's life is always placed in a vague future, while the present is consumed bit by bit. Cheap labor has a dangerous trait. It doesn't make you poor instantly. It makes you get used to a low standard of living. Used to being afraid to rest. Used to feeling not enough. And by the time you realize it, you've been in the loop too long. You have no time left to relearn. No energy left to try again. No space left to make mistakes. Society needs people like that. They know the work. They are willing to do it. They don't demand. They don't stop. But society doesn't need them to escape. Busyness sounds positive. But sometimes, it is just the easiest way to keep from having to think. I used to be very busy. A full schedule, endless messages. But in the rare moments of free time, I felt empty. Not because I lacked work, but because I didn't know where I was going. If you are busy like that, stay and listen further. Busyness is a safe state. At least psychologically. Being busy helps you avoid facing the hard question. Where am I going? I used to be very busy. A full schedule, constant messages, overlapping deadlines. But in the rare moments of free time, I felt empty. Not because I was lazy, but because I had no direction. Busyness makes young people believe they are moving forward, when in reality, they are just standing still at a high speed. The system likes that. Managers like that. Businesses like that. A busy person won't ask about salary. A busy person won't think about risks. A busy person won't have time to compare who they are today with who they will be in 5 years. Busyness is the softest cage. There is an uncomfortable truth. Society doesn't hate the talented. But it doesn't truly want you to understand everything too soon either. Fast progress sounds beautiful. But sometimes, It makes you feel like an outcast. Not because you are wrong, but because you move faster than the rhythm the system allows. I've been there. And that feeling is not pleasant at all. This is something few people say straight. Society doesn't hate the talented. But it doesn't reward those who progress faster than the allowed pace either. A young person who understands the system too early will ask questions, demand choices, refuse to accept the preset route. That causes discomfort. The system runs best when young people take small steps. Long enough. Slow enough. Tired enough not to change direction. Fast progress exposes injustice. And injustice needs to be covered by busyness. There is no grand moment of awakening. Just one day. You are so tired that you don't want to pretend to be okay anymore. Escaping cheap labor doesn't start with quitting. It starts with very small, but very real questions. If you've ever wondered, if things get worse, how much longer can I hold on? Then this episode is for you. There is no grand moment of awakening. Just one day you find you no longer have the strength to pretend you are okay. Escaping cheap labor is not about quitting. It's about stopping the unconditional sale of your time. It's the first time you ask yourself, if the economy gets worse, how long can I live? If this job disappears, what do I have left? If I stop, who truly loses? Not everyone escapes. And not everyone needs to escape at the same time. But the person who never asks will stay there forever.